Hey everyone, welcome to my new tutorial. Today we are going to create this low poly ancient temple and I really hope you will enjoy this one, and if you do, please don't forget to leave that like, and if you're new around here, hit that subscribe. Now let's jump into Blender, and first of all let's select the cube and the light, press X and delete, and now let's press Shift A and we'll start with the plane. Now let's scale this up 2 times, so tap into the edit mode, press S, then 2 and confirm with enter. And now we'll start extruding the pyramid shape, so let's press E to extrude like this. Now let's look from the front by pressing 1 on a numpad, and let's press S and scale it down to create the slope that you want, something like this. And I think I made it a little bit too high, so let's press G then Z and move it down a notch like this. Now let's press Shift D and then S to scale this down, and you will see how far you need to go, something like this, and then press E to extrude. And again we'll press S to scale this down and maintain that slope, just like that. And then on top we'll create a cube, so press Shift D again, press S to scale this down like this, and extrude this up. And now finally we'll do some decorations there, so let's press E to extrude, and one more time, then press 3 for face select, or click right here. Alt click this loop and press Alt E and extrude faces along normals, just like this. And we can press S to maintain even scaling and continue and confirm with left click. And now we'll extrude some openings in there, so let's press Ctrl R and create the cut right here. If you just started Blender and you have trouble following tutorials like this, make sure to check out my courses as well, where in addition to the step-by-step instructions, you also get full in-depth explanation of all the steps and all the tools, and you get to learn everything from simple low poly design all the way to full character illustration, textured environments, even a little bit of sculpting and hard surface modeling. So if you're interested, please check out the link in the description. And let's do that once again, and let's do one at the bottom, and now press Ctrl R and create one in the middle. Right click to release in place, and let's press Ctrl B to bevel. And if you have too much of these segments, reduce them with the mouse wheel, so you have something like this. And finally let's press Ctrl R, create one here, right click to release, and one on the other side as well. And now let's hold Alt and Shift and select this loop right here, press Ctrl B and bevel these as well. And finally let's press Ctrl R and create one more loop down here. And now let's again press 3 for face select, or again switch here, and now select this one, hold Shift and select these other faces right there, and press E and extrude them inside like this. You don't need to go too deep because we'll color them with black color anyway, so let's leave it like this for now. And now we'll create these stairs, and to maintain that slope we can reuse some of the geometry. So let's select this face right here, press Shift D to duplicate, right click to release in place, and then press P and separate the selection. That will separate it into a new object here, so we can tab out, select the new object, tab into the edit mode and press Ctrl R to create a loop cut right here in the middle, left click and right click to release, and then press Ctrl B, and then press 1 on a numpad to look from the front, and press Ctrl B to define the width of the stairs like this. And now again 3 for face select. Let's select these two faces by holding Shift, press X and delete them. Now press 2 for edge select, or again click here, select this edge on top. Let's look from the side by pressing 3 on a numpad, switch to vertex select, press G twice to begin sliding down, and then hold Alt key so you flip the sliding direction and slide this all the way up like here. And now press A to select all, press G then Y, move the whole thing right here, and then press E then Y and extrude it right here until it connects. And now press 3 for face select, alt click this loop, press X and delete faces. And now with these two sides we can press A and Alt E and extrude faces along normals, and let's extrude it inside like this. And now we'll create the stairs, so we can reuse again some of the geometry here. So press 2 for edge select, select these two edges, so click here, hold Shift, select the other one, and with the edges you can just press P and separate the selection, and you will separate those edges, but the original one will stay in place. So we can now tab out, select the new object, tab back in, and now press A and G then Y to move this back a notch like this, and press F to fill to create a face there. Now select the edge on top, press G twice to slide it back, and then E and Y to extrude it right here. And now here we'll create the steps, but now this looks a little bit too steep, so let's adjust the pyramid shape, and we can select multiple objects and edit them all at once. So tab out, hold shift, select this one as well, and the pyramid shape. Now tab into the edit mode. Let's press 3 on a numpad for a side view, and let's enable the X-ray view so we can see through, and press 1 for vertex select. And now we'll select all of these vertices at the bottom and switch the pivot point to 3D cursor. So we slide from the middle and press S then Y and slide this out like this until the staircase looks just fine, something like this. And then we'll readjust this part right here. So select these vertices, press S then Y and scale them out like this. Okay, now we can switch back to medium point, and the angle is much better now, so we can turn off the X-ray. And now press 3 for face select, select this face right here, and let's press P and separate the selection, tab out and select this new object. Now tab back in, and let's look from the top by pressing 7 on a numpad, and let's press Ctrl R to create a loop cut and increase the number with the mouse wheel. And now you can see how many of these stairs there will be, so something like this should be okay, like this, and right click to release. Okay, maybe this is still a little bit too steep, so let's make them smaller. So let's press Ctrl R and do something like this. And now just press 2 for edge select, select this edge right here, press P and separate the selection, tab out, select the new object, tab back in and select the edge again. And now let's switch this to vertex snapping, press E then Z and hold Ctrl, hovering over this vertex until it snaps. And now press E then Y, and again we'll hold Ctrl until it snaps to this vertex. So this way we created one stair. And now in the modifiers panel we can add an array modifier and set this to 0 and Y to -1 and Z to -1 and increase the count like this until we are all the way down. And again, this looks a little bit steep, but for stylized purposes I think this will be just fine. And now we can tab out and delete the original sloped face, so press X and delete the object. And now let's press Shift A, add a plane, tab into the edit mode and press S to scale it down like this. We'll create a little bit of a terrain around this, like this. Now right click and subdivide, and let's press Shift R to repeat this few times, something like that. And now let's press 1 for vertex select, select some of these, switch the proportional editing on, press G then Z and move this up. And again you can adjust the fall off with the mouse wheel, so we'll create a little bit of an uneven terrain like this, so it's a little bit more interesting around here, like this. Now let's turn off the proportional editing, press 2 for edge select, hold Alt key, select this loop, and then hold Alt and Shift and select these other ones, press E then Z and extrude this down. And since this is uneven, we'll now press S then Z and 0 to make it on one plane. Let's confirm and press F to fill. So this will be the terrain. And now we can press 3 for face select, select this face right here, hold Ctrl and Shift, select the one on the other side to select the whole patch, and we can press Ctrl T to triangulate the faces. This will look a little bit better with the low poly render when these are a little bit, chopped apart. And now let's give this some details. So first of all, let's create something like a brick here. So let's hold Shift, right click there, let's press Shift A and create a cube. Tab into the edit mode and press S to scale this down like this, and then press S then X and scale it on X axis, something like this. Tab out, press G then X and move this to the side here. And now we'll duplicate these, so press Alt D then X and move it to the side, and let's just leave a little bit of a gap here. And now before we do anything else, press Shift R to repeat this few times over. And now you will see we're missing a little bit piece at the end, but don't worry about that. Let's just select all the cubes here. So click the first one, hold Shift, select the last one. And now let's look from the front, press G then X, move it slightly, and then press S to scale it up like this. And now let's press M and move them into a new collection, and let's call this bricks. And this is just so we are able to select this a little bit better, and then press Alt D then Y and move this to the other side like this. And we'll add some variation just in a second. So let's press 7 on a numpad to look from the top, and now press Alt D again, and make sure you're pressing Alt D, not Shift D. Place this here, press R and 90 to rotate this 90 degrees, and it matches almost perfectly. And now press Alt D then X and move this to the other side as well. And now let's look from the front by pressing 1 on a numpad, and we'll select few of these. So first of all, let's select this, press H to hide this. And now we'll need probably these bricks here, press Alt D then Z and move this up here. And let's make this a little bit smaller. Let's look from the top, press G then Y and move this back here. And then Alt D again and then Y to move it here. And again, we'll do the same thing. So Alt D and then R and 90 to rotate 90 degrees. And here we'll delete one. So select one of them, press X, choose delete. And we'll just move them on the Y-axis here and press Alt D then X and move them there. And now we can select the main shape, tab into the edit mode. Select all of these faces by holding Ctrl and clicking on the other side. Press I to inset like this, and then E to extrude down a little bit. We'll add a little bit more detail. Now we can tab out and press Alt H to unhide, and now we can put some detail on these bricks. So let's select one of them, tab into the edit mode, and we can hit slash on numpad to go into the local view. Press 1 for vertex select and just select these vertices one by one, and we can do Ctrl Shift B to do a vertex bevel. Do a small bevel like this, and then we can select these individually and press G twice to slide them around. So something like this. And of course you can select this one and make it longer if you want some variation. Let's do this on the other side because I will be rotating them all over the place. Let's do smaller bevels right here. And now we can hit slash to exit local. And now you can see all of these have the detail. And we can now introduce some variation by rotating them. So let's tab out and let's just select randomly few of these bricks around. You can hit 7 on a numpad for a top view, so it's much easier to select. And let's just do something like this. And now let's switch this to individual origins. And now we can press S then Z and -1 and they'll just flip them. And now again we can press 7 on a numpad to look from the top and select some of these. Again, doesn't really matter if some of these are the same, just as long as there's some variation in the selection. So it's not, uniform. And let's now press S, X twice for the local axis, and then -1. And let's confirm. And now if you look at this, there's quite a variation. And of course you can do something like rotation. So if you want, you can go even further and, select some of these, press R then Z and do 180 degrees rotations. So they'll introduce even, more variety. But this already looks a little bit better. Maybe I will rotate some of these in the back, but I quite like this. So let's take care of the staircase and the rest of the pyramid. So let's select this, tab into the edit mode, and we'll press Ctrl R and create few of these loops by increasing the number with the mouse wheel and confirm with left click and right click to release in place. Do the same thing on the other side. And now we can press 2 for edge select, select some of these edges and press Ctrl B to bevel. Now press 1 for vertex select and just slide these around by pressing G twice. And of course, you can select some of these vertices individually, press Ctrl Shift B, do a bevel like this, and then press Ctrl T to triangulate and create some of these, chamfered edges here and there. So it gives a little bit of detail, a little bit of that variety. And we'll do the same thing with the stairs, but first let's apply the array modifier. Let's tab into the edit mode, press A to select all, and we'll merge first because these are now separate stairs. So press A, M and merge by distance. And now we can press Ctrl R and increase the number with the mouse wheel to do something like this. And basically just go over this very randomly. Try to select some of these edges. You can select even 2 at once at some positions and press Ctrl B and bevel. And then press 1 for vertex select and again slide this around. So the technique is completely the same as before. So you should have no trouble following this. And again, we can make some of these dents individually by pressing Ctrl Shift B for vertex bevel. And now if you look, this looks, you know, much more detailed and interesting. So now we can do the same thing on the top here. So select the main shape, tap into the edit mode, and we have quite a lot of geometry already. We can maybe press Ctrl R and create one more loop cut right here to create some of these. And here we can triangulate this and slide these over. Okay, that'll be enough. And to introduce even more detail, we can take some of these bricks, press Shift D this time because we want to modify this, press Y to move this aside. Let's look from the front by pressing 1 on a numpad, tap into the edit mode, press A to select all and press G then Z and move this down like this, so the origin point stays here because now this will be easier to snap onto the surface. So tab out. And now let's switch this to medium point, and the snapping will switch to face project, align rotation to target, and press G and hold Ctrl, and now it will snap like this. And now you can just press Alt D and hold Ctrl to snap this all over the surface and create some interesting details like this. Make sure to not overdo it. This should be a stylized example of the building, but you can already see how this adds to the visual interest of the scene. And we can place some of these here, but if it rotates a little bit weird, you can press Alt R here to reset, and then G and hold Ctrl to snap again, and then press R and Z twice to rotate around Z axis, and then you can just continue and the snapping should be just fine, same as before. And if you want, you can just select these on the side. And with the last one, you can add a mirror modifier. Select the temple as the center for mirroring, and then click here and copy to select it, and that will mirror all of these others, so you don't have to transfer them to the other side. And now let's just manually add some more, and this will be done. And now I will just go ahead and time-lapse through adding some more, details like rocks and palm trees, and adding some simple materials and creating a very basic lighting, because I want to keep this tutorial short. But if you want to know in detail how I approach this and how to create these details and how to work with lighting, again, make sure to check out the courses or some of my other tutorials. The link to the playlist is in the description, and you will find a lot of material there when it comes to lighting and materials. So this is it for today's modeling tutorial, and I really hope you enjoyed this one. And again, if you did, please leave that like, and if you want to learn more like this, hit that subscribe. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.